Three,
Three,
two,
two,
one.
one.
Let's go!
Let's go.
Robin Slocombe. I love the amount of energy I felt from inside you on that let's go.
Okay.
Maybe we could do another one in person this
Yes,
year.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay. Well, I am Troy Tittlemeyer of the PBE podcast, and we have a pre-show for the 67th annual SPWLA convention happening at Lake Conroe. May 15th, the golf tournament starts. 2 days of workshops and 3 days of technical talks from the 15th to the 20th. Be there in Lake Conroe. Sir, Robin, please introduce yourself. Give an elevator pitch the best you can because you have so much going on, and I look
Yeah.
forward to jumping into some of the details from this show.
Thanks, Troy. So yeah, really looking forward to welcoming people to Conroe in 2 weeks' time. We've got an absolutely packed schedule. SPWLA 67th annual convention. We start on Saturday, Sunday with 2 full days of workshops and the field trip, which is what every geologist really started doing this for in the first place. And then we go into 3 days of technical content. It's been an incredible year. We had almost 400 abstracts submitted. An incredible technical committee of 70 volunteers went through those abstracts, selected 120 of the best that you will see over those 3 days. Uh, the papers have been written. The presentations should have been finished. The slides are ready. We're going to have 2 parallel tracks, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you'll get to see really the best of the industry putting out new ideas and just doing what we do best, sharing knowledge, sharing learning, and spending time together to really further everything that's the Society of Petrophysicists and Well Log Analysts is about.
That's right. Now, as VP of Technologies this year, the VP of Technologies, you helped put the show together. What's your background from a technical standpoint? Elevator pitch.
Yeah, so I'm a chemical engineer with some background in geology as well, but I spent 26 years with SLB. Started off as a field engineer in the Colombian jungle, worked my way through a long career there, and ended up as a technical director for Middle East and North Africa until I joined AWS last year. And at AWS is really continuing that journey, focused on customers and seeing ways that we can help them add value to the data that they're collecting and bring the latest around AI and new technologies to do the absolute most they can do with the data, reduce uncertainty, and improve decisions.
Wow. Reduced uncertainty, man. You hear that one all the time. I'm going to pull up a couple of graphics here. There's a little bit on the short course coming up, but here is, I'm the technical talks. Here are the short courses.
Yeah.
This is Sunday, so let's jump to Saturday real quick. First thing in the morning, you can have petrophysics in the energy transition, introduction to borehole image log data analysis, formation testing, revolution, and petrophysics for reserves, resources, and storage estimations, aligning with PRMS and SRMS. What are those abbreviations?
Yeah, no, you're gonna. I was hoping you weren't going to ask me, and I think that title could definitely have done with a trim, but I think really what we're looking at here is where petrophysicists meet asset managers and really demonstrate the value of what it is that they bring to organizations. When I've had friends that are working for some of the Fortune 500 oil and gas companies, and they're making decisions based on what petrophysicists deliver. So that course will be really about connecting those critical business decisions with the
Wow.
measurements that we're making in the wells.
Nice. Well done. Well said. That's exactly right. And these all four start at 8 a.m., go to 4:30. Lunch is included. It's at the resort. You can either do one short course and nothing of the event, or you can get a package where you get short courses plus the technical talks and the whole 3 day event. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah. And I mean, you can even turn up on the day if at the last minute you decide you want to be part of one of these. But obviously, we encourage people to sign up as soon as possible. There is a limit to 30 attendees per workshop.
Saw that. Hands-on, practical, and impactful. Okay, then
Yeah.
we jump to Sunday. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Deeper insights, practical solutions, and real impact. Still limited to 30 attendees per deal, even though one of these is a field trip, isn't it? Or is that not
No,
noted here?
the field trips in parallel with these.
Got it.
So while some people are sitting in a classroom, there'll be other people outdoors looking at rocks.
What's the limit on the field trip?
Um, I think we're about 30 people as well because it'll be a busload.
Wow, man, load them up. Put the good Don't forget the coolers. From core to wellbore, we talked about that in the show. That's obviously the some of the biggest stuff that's happened since the Schlumberger brothers and brought all this to life. Is well, okay, you're getting a wireline anomaly, but what's the rock? Did you actually get
Yeah.
any rock from that same place? And that's such a big deal. Replacing radioactive sources. That one's always interesting. You get your neutron density guy out there, and he's grabbing something from like a super protected box with a tool, and he's
Yeah.
walking it, and you're like, what's there's something decaying and sending
Yeah.
radiation around here, but
Uh, And the gentleman leading that, Ahmed, I mean, this is a passion project for him. Really incredible individual. He's retired from the industry, but he's still, really, really passionate about this topic, and he really actually wants to see. I mean, anybody who's worked in wireline logging knows that you get that moment where you're working with this sort of material, and it's scary,
right.
and it's a risk that I think technology has got to a point now where we can get away with it, or do away with it, and
No kidding.
that's what Ahmed is going to be sort of leading with the rest of the team there on
Oh,
that
he's
event.
one of the organizers specifically for that talk. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. Applied machine learning, we talked about that in the show, uncertainty and petrophysics. So you have your background where you're like, is the tool even measuring what it's supposed to be measuring? What's the uncertainty of the data quality of what is it physically measuring, and then just the uncertainty that goes along with everything else, right? You're trying to relate this to a reservoir that has a certain amount of pressure, hydrocarbon saturations that are going to deplete over time, and you're trying to make decisions. Are you going lateral here? There's just so much packed into the job of wireline log analysis and well log analysis, petrophysics, how you're taking that data and extrapolating it across thousands of acres in some cases, trying to make a decision on a discovery well. It's fascinating, the subject and what you have been doing for a long time, since 1999. You just dove in, and you're just now a leader. I'm honored to be sharing time with a leader in the SPWLA world. Honestly, May 18th, it opens up with the opening remarks and keynote speaker. We talked a little bit about that. Looking forward to what the onshore resources and carbon management Oxy is up to. Oh,
yeah.
she was the president of the SPWLA and the 57th president. Is that what that is?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I've worked with Omar on several occasions over the years. And I'm really looking forward to what she's got to say. She's, a real leader in the industry right now.
Nice. We're still submitting and confirming the PBE shows, as PBE is the official media hub of the SPWLA this year and this convention. We have a show that we're trying to squeeze in 9:20 to 10:30, not to disrupt the two parallel talks. Obviously, like we talked about in the show, you have the Compass Center or the Compass Room and the Coastal Ballroom. You have two presentation rooms, and you have talks going on at the same time. And you really thought about, okay, what kind of talk can we have going on in this room that's not in direct competition in any way for someone to go to that other room and hear something else? So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough compromise. I mean, as I was saying earlier, I mean, we've got out of 300 abstracts, we would love to have everybody present, but as you go through the program, you'll see we've done really try to get two parallel tracks that don't conflict too much with one another, and you know just try to make sure we pack in as much as possible into the 3 days.
Man, this is going to be a lot, but it's awesome. You get such a great opportunity to see it and have a chance to do it. If you have a big enough department, you can divide and conquer. You can take your guys and say, "Okay, you're going to go watch that one. I'm going to do this one. We're going to compare notes at the end and let's get the most out of this show. We break for lunch each of the days. That lunch is not provided. You have to buy a ticket for the lunch in this case, or is this part of the intro?
So there are different lunches on different days. We
Okay.
have an awards lunch. We have a business meeting lunch for the SPWLA board. So there'll be different points. The one of the high, yeah. So it's different on the different days.
Okay. And okay, so you got lunch breaks and then bang, we're right back at it. And this is what I was going to get to. Two parallel rooms running and then boom at 3:30 opening day, all these poster presentations turn on, right? And they
That's
run
right.
and how long do they go? 3:30 till when?
So the idea with the poster presentations is those posters will be up from the morning of day one. We ask the presenters come in. We'll have a special room put aside for the posters, and the idea is between breaks, between courses, if there's nothing going on in the main rooms that's got your attention, wander into the poster room and have a look at what's up on the walls.
Right.
You mentioned earlier as well. When you've got two tracks going in parallel, the key part about this being an event, the people are going to be in the building. Maybe you don't get to see them on stage, maybe you don't get to see them, but you'll be able to track them down, have a conversation with them, and really get in depth on some of these topics. And that's really what the poster sessions allow you to do as well. So all of the posters will be there over the 2 days, the whole time. The idea is at 3:30 on each of the afternoons, the presenters will be there. So if you've seen something up on the wall that you really want to go into, and you haven't had a chance to catch the individual, that's your chance to step in there, see them, and hear it from the original authors.
Love it. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I plan to take our floating camera and microphone and setting up to do kind of give me your 3 to 5 minute explanation of the poster and go through every one of them. I want to go through every one of them and just wreck my brain before the because it's the
Now,
last thing.
that'd be amazing though, because that means that as well. If this is going out on a podcast, people will be able to pick up on that and come back to it as reference. I would absolutely love that, and I'm sure the presenters would love that too.
Yep, they get first dibs. They get to say, "No, I don't really want that out there," or they go, "No, I love it. Release it." And so we want to have a poster special episode from this event coming up. It'll be all the poster sessions, and then bang, we go right back into the Coastal Ballroom, the Compass Center, and go back into the parallel sessions to the end of the day. At the end of the day, day one, is there a night event sometimes at these conventions? Okay, there's like
Yeah.
SPWLA is going to take you to the dinosaur museum and we're going to like, right, or what is it? What are we doing?
So it's usually between the big three. So Halliburton, Baker, and Schlumberger, or SLB, will do an event each of the evenings. So I think usually it's Halliburton takes care of the icebreaker. Um, Baker Hughes does one night, and SLB does one night. And now I don't work for any of them. I can say there's a healthy amount of competition as they try to work out who's going to have the best evening event. And
Competition.
I haven't seen it yet where SLB didn't win, but that's while I was there. Now this year everything's up for grabs.
Oh, Big Blue versus Big Red. Let's hear it. Well, man, this is yep. So Tuesday opens up after the night event. You get to shake everything off, get up bright and early, get to the coffee bar, and make it to the first round of talks again. Let me ask you this: with your experience and your attention to detail for this specific year, 67th annual. What do you think it is in this event that's being talked about that might be echoed for like the next 50 years in petrophysics? Something new, something different. What are we seeing here at this event?
I mean, I think two thoughts immediately come to mind. The first is obvious, is kind of going to be the obvious AI type thing, which is there is a big section on ML, but AI has gone from being a topic by itself, and now we find it's become that it's kind of incorporated and it's part of everything. So people have it's playing a part in people's thinking, everything they do. I think that's one component to keep in mind. But the other is actually that the complete flip side opposite that. And you look at some of the titles and you look at some of the material that people are presenting this year, and we are still looking at hard science. As much as there are new digital tools out there, there are new ways of looking at things. There's all of this. There is still so much to learn around the hard science of, like we're saying, getting into the cores, getting into the measurements, getting into the the interpretation, and the way that the measurements are being used. We've still got. It's just overwhelming to me how much we've still got to learn.
Wow, man. Ready to go through a wall right now after listening to that, because that's true. That's true. Machine learning, AI, that is, I think you're onto something that could be. And we're all getting to see it. We're gonna learn how people are using it and integrating it. But at the end of the day, we are still very young in our understanding and development of the hard science of what's making these rocks do what they're doing and what we're trying to even understand from them. And I love that. I love the way you said that. Couldn't have said that any better. We go back into a poster session, just jam through all these folks, deep learning based quantitative predictions. We have a very detailed poster session both days, which
Yeah.
I just really appreciate. I think posters give it just a different twist. You can engage a lot differently with the person at a poster than the one giving a talk in the room. It's different. And so it's fantastic to see. Day two comes to an end. Wednesday, no poster sessions. Not to be a not to just yeah.
I would love it if if people feel comfortable to leave their posters up. They can
Cool.
keep them up there through to the end of the symposium so that people can come and see it. We start a little bit later on Wednesday because the
Thank you
Tuesday
for that.
night the Tuesday night party can be a big one.
Yeah.
So we're 30 minutes later start on Wednesday, and we're yeah right. We just kind of power through into the early afternoon. And we finish a little bit earlier on Wednesday afternoon as well.
Right. Right. Wrap up session and the end of the day, end of the 67th annual symposium. Are you speaking any specific time or just you on anything on any of this?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a bit of an opening. Really, right at the start of the event, I like to talk through and just let people know how much effort has gone into making sure that we're very careful about being fair about ensuring the quality of the material that's going to be put up in front of them over the week. And then definitely want to close things out at the end and share a little bit about how personally I want to work with the society going forward to give more access to the material that was presented and new ways to get access to the material.
Nice. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited to do this event. Thank you for doing this pre-show to allow me to better understand the information that's been organized and the thought process behind this. I think it's super helpful. Going to many conventions in my career where you just kind of go in blind and you end up finding there's five different rooms at ERTech. Like, what are we doing? Or
Yeah.
and you just kind of get lost in a lot of that noise. But I think spending time listening to you, your background, and then having an appreciation of how you've done this organization for delivering this information, but also the future of how do you access this after this for to continue to help and develop professionals in this industry. I love it, man. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to learning more from you and learning more with geologists. The Earth is predictable, it's repeatable, but it's very complex. It's
Oh yeah.
very, very complex. And so all we can do is what we're doing, and we're in the middle of it, man. I congratulate you on what sounds like an excellent event. I look forward to it, and thanks for spending your time putting it together.
Troy, thanks ever so much. Really look forward to seeing you there in person and look forward to seeing everybody in Conroe.
Well, this is the conception part of the PBE podcast. Robin Slocombe, is that how you pronounce your name?
That is, yes.
Slocombe, how does this happen on like phone calls when you get the
Oh,
telemarketers? Are they
it gets tortured, and having lived all over the world, I've heard it pronounced every possible way. So, but I'll answer to anything pretty much.
All right, that's a good attitude, sir. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do the show. I'm really interested in to learn exactly what you've done for the SPWLA's 67th annual convention. This is the pre-shows that we want to do with the folks involved in making this happen before we're actually there, recording more shows. Hopefully, we can maybe even have you on as another special guest in one of the shows. We're still setting up the podcast. Some really exciting shows already on the books and some gaps to fill. So we'll work on that, but. How does it all begin, man? Were your parents petrophysicists or something?
No, no. So, I mean, the journey for me with petrophysics, it started with Schlumberger. I graduated as, well, if I go even a little bit partway through my university, I started to enjoy a lot about geology, a lot about rocks, minerals, all of that good stuff. And so,
Nice.
having graduated with natural sciences and chemical engineering, I got into Schlumberger. And so
At what university was this chemical and natural
that was
science degree?
Cambridge University in the UK.
Whoa, right on. Okay,
Yeah, that was
Robin.
it was a good 4 years.
Yeah, you're not messing around. That was straight out of high school. Did you always have a knack for rocks?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it was certainly the more field trips I did, and the more playing around in the lab I did, the more I learned to love them. And just that understanding of subsurface, walking around the mountains, looking at outcrops, and then being able to visually translate that to what it looks like under the ground and under the earth.
Oh,
That was what really got me going.
oh man, you're getting me going just listening to that. That's right. That is the coolest, man. That is the coolest part. So cool. Okay, so you got the degree. You're graduating. You already know Schlumberger's looking for something of someone of your talent.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Cambridge, Schlumberger had an incredible research center. It looked like a spaceship. It was like a big canvas tented building, and so they were interviewing people in there, and it was part of me was like, yeah, I just want to know what happens in that building. Um, so we got recruited, worked out fine, and within months of me starting with them, they sent me to the Colombian jungle.
No way.
And I was running wireline logging tools into oil wells, literally in the middle of nowhere, helicoptering in and out. When you graduate and you're looking for a career that's going to give you early responsibility, you don't really know what you're talking about, and then they give it to you, and you've got a crew of people that are looking at you. You've got a live oil well. You've got
Wow.
a set of equipment, millions of dollars worth of equipment, and you're acquiring data out of that well.
Jeez, man.
And
You're what, 24 years old? Something like that?
that was, yeah, at the time, I mean, not even, I mean, 22, 23. So, barely able to control a car. And,
Wow.
yeah, you've been given an enormous amount of responsibility, but it was just incredible fun. I mean, we were working all hours of the day and night.
That's right.
Um, Crew of guys on these land rigs, and I mean, just seeing nature and wildlife and stuff like you
Humans
wouldn't believe.
drilling right in the middle of all that. Humans are like, we're gonna plant this thing right here. And how deep were these wells?
Oh, so those are some of the deepest wells I encountered. There was some wells there, sort of 17, 18,000 feet deep.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
5 or 6 miles into the earth.
Wow. I mean, the deepest well ever drilled, like on record, that's public anyway, is that Kona well, right? 7.5 miles or something the Russians
Yeah.
did. So you were flirting with the deepest holes
Now you're going to make
in,
me check my units. Um, maybe 5 or 6 kilometers. No, not five. Yeah, but I mean, we're down there. These are some
yeah,
deep hot wells.
yeah.
Um,
Makes more sense. You're like 3.5 miles down, something like
yeah,
that. Gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha. That's still incredibly deep. You're messing with some serious pressures if you encounter them. So you get choppered in. You're like, what do we do? Okay, whoa, there's the drill rig. And what was like what was the setting? You're gonna go, we're gonna go to the bottom of this hole with these tools, and we're gonna slowly drag them all the way up to surface because
that's
we
right.
are we are looking for oil and gas deposits. That was the goal?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, while I was in Colombia, one of the coolest experiences was actually working on a discovery well. So you're running bottles now into the well, you're sucking fluid out of the formation, and then that, the bottle comes back to surface, and everybody's crowding around the rig floor. Somebody cracks open the bottle, and you're actually there smelling the oil that's just
Oh,
literally just come out of the ground. So yeah,
wow.
you can imagine that on top of the sort of the academics. Now I'm sold for life.
Wow. Put an H2S monitor on that thing before you put your nose on
Yeah.
it.
Now you think about what as I'm saying, I'm thinking, yeah, no, it's probably not the best. We
This is
checked
fascinating.
questions. Yeah.
Fascinating. What year was this?
This would have been so 99 to
Oh,
2000,
wow.
2001, right at the turn of the millennium.
Wow. Wow. You're like, we're over here looking at this deep well in the jungle. The internet's about to shut off on us. Like, what do we even got going on?
Oh, I mean, we were on walkie-talkies. We'd be walking. I had one of those little Nokia bricks with the external antenna, and you'd sort of walk up to the top of the helipad and sort of sight the little tiny antenna up there somewhere to try
Oh
to
my
to
gosh.
try to get a signal out. But no, it was a lot of fun.
Wow. That's fascinating, man. What an
Yeah.
experience. What an education. What an experience.
Yeah, and then my Schlumberger career really kind of picked up from there and carried on in a similar vein. Traveling all over the world, looking at the data acquisition side of things, and working my way up through the company, and very quickly sort of working more and more with customers to see how they would use the data, how we could add value to what they were doing, how we could reduce risk in the
Mhm.
decisions that they were taking. And by the time I got to the US in 2011, um, there, I was, leading teams that were doing what I'd been doing before, and that was where the SPWLA came into the picture. So there was
Ah,
a gentleman, Anadarko, Mitch Pavlovich, who recommended me to get more involved with the SPWLA. He could see, I was bringing the well log analyst side of this, but had the credentials on the petrophysics as well.
hmm.
And it really resonated with me because it was that sense of community. It was about like bringing people, like-minded people together to focus on science and what more we could do, how we could share ideas, and really kind of push the science of what we were doing further forward.
Wow, man, that's fascinating to just think about. And so many questions come to mind about. Let's just go back to the comment you made that you were focused on data acquisition. Data acquisition is making sure that the tool is actually measuring rock, not mud cake or bad
Correct.
hole, and it is measuring the rock correctly. What are the anomalies that exist in even a correctly acquired zone, let alone if you have some well problems, right? You're trying to
Yeah.
find confidence in the resistivity or neutron density. What were you doing? Sonics?
Oh, everything. So
Everything.
right the way through density, neutron, resistivity, the sonics, the nuclear magnetic resonance, a lot of borehole seismic. Yeah, it was the full range of measurements, and especially at that time because you're looking a lot more often at exploration type wells where the value of that data is so much more critical. And what you were
Right.
describing, in that setting, the drillers are in a challenging situation because they're going into unknown territory. So, like you said about mud cake, they've got to throw everything that they have to into the hole to keep it safe, to keep it stable.
Sheesh.
You're uploading measurements in there, and you're trying to check that what you're measuring isn't being influenced by what they've just had to throw in there to fix everything up. And certainly at that point in my career, we were learning so much every day, just to try to get to quality data that we could look at coming out on the screen, and then people would go on to use and reuse and reuse as they're building their models and their reservoir models and making really
Right.
big decisions off of it.
Right. So was it a lot of okay, we got a really good run. let's go down and get some rotary sidewall cores. Let's match this with cuttings, like what the kind of ground truth of seeing what is a rock at this anomaly.
Yeah, I mean, those sorts of elements were always there, and if you could get you, I mean, as a young engineer, you're always looking for the more challenging jobs and the places where there's more activity going on. So certainly, rotary sidewall core, or going to a well that has had full core taken,
Nice.
and there you get that sort of rare opportunity to actually see the rock on surface,
Oh man.
and people are out there kind of picking through through what they've been able to recover, and then you're matching up the measurements that you've taken, and somebody's going to be checking that matches, either matches with the rock that they've got in their hands, or what's been checked in the lab, or when it doesn't match, that opens up a whole new area of learning to understand why it doesn't match.
Wow.
What changed between when they pulled that plug of rock out and you made the measurement, and that plug of rock got to the lab, and what can you learn from that as well? So it really, layers and layers of learning going into this.
How many years we talking of from the start of your 20 your SLB career in 99?
I left SLB last year, so I was with
Oh
them for
my
26 years.
goodness. Wow. Wow. How's it been? What's the latest?
So I joined AWS
Okay.
in August last year,
Oh, dude. Love you.
and
Sorry.
yeah, no, yeah, good. I joined AWS in August last year. So I work for the energy division of AWS Amazon Web Services. So I work for the energy division of that, and what that really is, it's taking what I love, which is working with customers, working with the data, and then bringing it really into the 21st century. So, what AWS is looking at is working with all of these energy customers, oil and gas clients, right the way through the energy value chain, bringing the data that they have, off of tape, off of
Oh my
servers, off of
goodness.
hard disks in logging units, wherever it may be in the world, bringing it onto the cloud, and now that it's on the cloud, there's a lot more we can do with that data. So, as I said earlier on, I was always looking to try to understand the life cycle of that data that we acquired in our
Wow.
customers' hands. Well, now there's a whole new layer of things that we can do with that. Bringing AI into the picture.
That's
Uh,
interesting. So AWS uses standard industry software to read this data, or are they developing their own software to even read the data?
there's a lot going on. So AWS, in terms of actually reading and working with the data, that's not really where it is. It's more about enabling customers. You're always hoping that you're going to be able to get the latest and best laptop or the latest and best computer to look at the data, to run the software, whoever's software it may be. You're always looking for more power, more compute, more
Right.
storage. Well, AWS gives you access to that. So it doesn't,
Ah,
whatever it is that you're using or whatever it is you're developing, now when you can do it on the cloud,
ah,
it's limitless possibilities.
sheesh. Run me a like linear regression through this seismic volume through, but you're on your phone telling a supercomputer somewhere to just go ahead and run that. I
Pretty
got you.
much. Yeah.
I got you. Wow. So AWS is starting to work with like super majors. We talking Shell and Exxon. Is this publicly available stuff? I don't want you to get.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean, we're preferred cloud providers for a lot of the key oil and gas customers, and yeah, it's a really critical part of industry the AWS is focusing on, and it's unique as well because when you look at the data, some companies. I'll give you an example. TGS, so a seismic company that I'm working
T
with quite close.
TGS is awesome, man. They're the world's leader, arguably in wireline, like wireline data that they've stored and digitized and put on depth, right?
Not well. They yes, they do have a lot of the US land wireline data. The vast majority of their data, though, is seismic data and
Wow.
multi-client seismic data that they've acquired from basins all over the world.
Jeez.
40 petabytes, which
What?
now we're kind of in the realms of data that there was a time there where you felt every few years they come out with a new word, and
Yeah. I think you just
petabytes
made
and
I think you just
yeah,
made that one. Is that a
yeah,
thousand terabytes? Is a petabyte a thousand
yeah, 1,000
terabytes?
terabytes, yeah.
And you said they have
So
40 of those?
they have yeah, the 40 of those in their multi-client library. They're handling probably double, if not triple that. So you got zero point 0.1 exabytes if you want to really play with the units. Um, in
What in the
terms of
world?
yeah, and the great thing is in the cloud that just drops in, and you can start using all of those tools that you want to be able to run faster. You can access the compute and you can do whatever you want with that.
Hmm. Okay, so you have a very specific skill set of wireline log analysis, acquisition, a very good understanding of what operators are doing with this data to help them make these multi-billion-dollar decisions because they're developing assets that are going to
Yeah.
produce for 100 years, right? These are massive, massive
Oh yeah.
wealth generating projects. And then you switch over to AWS recently and say, okay, now that we've gone around the world for 26 years making all this stuff. And it's not just you, right? And you've got Halliburton and Baker and all these other companies, all these other people that are doing it too. You're like, let's go into a massive operator, take that data onto the cloud, have a supercomputer organizing it and understanding where it all exists and what it all is, feed the software what they need to make decisions
Yeah.
faster and hopefully safer and more efficiently and all that stuff. So you're just on the front lines of that now.
Yeah, yeah, and so faster with more precision. You all of those scenarios that people used to love to run through. There's no limit to those number of iterations that you can do on that data now. And then instead of kind of filtering through and coming up with one with your best guess on the answer, you can be sitting there with multiple different scenarios, and then you can sort of have more of a probabilistic approach and say, out of all of the different scenarios that I've been able to run with this data, this seems like the most
Wow.
confident one. So yeah, it really is. I'm loving what I'm doing because I really feel I've been very fortunate throughout my career to have been at critical moments where, in the Colombian jungle, I'm running the absolute cutting edge of technology into one of the most challenging environments. And now, 26 years later, I feel I've got exactly the same feeling.
Jeez. Love that for you, man. Wow. Wow. Um, yeah, I'm just I'm blown away. I want to get into how you now are at the SPWLA and you're putting this convention together. You've been doing it since 2011. You obviously know very aware of the convention, what it takes to put on these conventions. So how did the development of your role specifically this year happen? Is that a quick story or is that a long story?
I think my story with the SPWLA is relatively long. I think Mitch set me up back in 2011. I joined the Houston chapter, went on to lead that chapter for a few years, then was the board member for North America for a
Oh,
couple of years,
wow.
board member for the Middle East when I moved over to Qatar. And then most recently took on this role of VP technology. And I was, well, VP technology elect and then VP technology. And the way we've structured that is I got the opportunity for a year to be in the VP technology elect role and watch the previous VP technology do the event.
That's how every
Um,
position should be. I'm just going to cut in there. I
it's
mean,
it,
right? You should be job shadowing for a year, do the job for a year, and then help someone coming in. That's how Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No,
sorry.
it's well, especially because I sat back for a year. It was Harry Z who I watched do it, and I mean, incredible individual. And you watch what he's doing, and genuinely, it's one of those points. Even this late in my career, you're looking at what the guy's doing, and going, I don't know if I can do that. The quantity and the level to which he was he was analyzing and going through because we receive 300 or 400 abstracts come in at the start of this process. And over 3 days in a hotel in Conroe, or last year in a hotel in Dubai, there's a limit to how much material you can put in front of people.
Last
Um,
year's convention was in Dubai.
that's right. Yeah, it seems a year ago, and goodness knows,
Wow.
different planet when you stop and think
Wow.
about it.
Where are you on the
Me
planet? Yeah. Are you
today,
on
I'm in
planet?
Houston,
Okay.
Texas.
I'm glad because now that you've been around the world, you talk about Qatar. I said, "Oh
Yeah.
man, is this guy like? Is it 8 in the morning right now? Like on Tuesday with him?"
No, no, no. Genuinely, well, Miss Qatar, we had an amazing 4 years, but I moved back to Houston with the AWS job last summer.
Wow. Okay, so
Um,
you wrapped up with SLB in Qatar
yeah,
and came back to Houston, work AWS now, and you took on in the last year role of VP. What'd you say it was? VP
VP
Technology.
technology.
VP Technology elect. Now you're VP Technology. The year it's going to be in Houston. Super cool. You're not having to
Yeah,
travel like
yeah.
last year, right? That would have been
Well, last
totally
year it was in Dubai and I was in Qatar, so it wasn't too bad either.
nice. Yeah. So it's been really working out for you.
Yeah, I feel like I may have had a hand in it, but I didn't.
Okay, man, I had no idea that. So the annual convention of the SPWLA can be on any continent every year.
So next year will be in France.
Wow,
The year after that, there's a lot of places we'd love to do it. A couple of years ago, we were in Brazil. Uh, Doing it in the US is definitely a benefit that we were able to draw, especially doing it on the outskirts of Houston, makes it a lot easier for lot of our members to get here.
sure.
And it's a
A great resort, right?
fun place to do it. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Man, are you doing the golf tournament on the 15th?
I am not a golfer. I love to go out for a nice walk in the sun.
Okay.
I'll walk around the course and
Okay.
accompany people if that's a possibility, but
Of
don't put a
course it
stick in my
is.
hand.
You could drive. I'll swing the club. You could drive. No, very cool. Okay. Are you doing any short courses over the weekend?
So I've been closely monitoring the short courses with Artur. So my VP technology elect this year, I say I mean Artur Posnanto Garcia. He's the guy who'll be coming into my role next year,
Okay.
and he's taking care of all of those short courses, all of the workshops over the weekend
That's a
uh,
specific role for the VP of Technologies. Every year you do the short courses for the annual convention. So you did that for
for
the
Dubai.
Dubai. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. It's a great opportunity to see because what I don't know if people realize about those is they're volunteer run.
Right.
I mean, so much about this society is volunteer driven, and so you've got people giving up time on their weekends, bringing people together, and back to what I said earlier about the draw for me to this whole society is this kind of shared love of sharing knowledge and just elevating people.
Wow. That's what keeps you hooked into the SPWLA. Are you involved in any of the other geoscience communities?
I mean, I'm stay aware of EAGE, APG, SPE.
Okay.
Any three-letter acronym. I'll
XEG.
attach my name to in some way or another. But certainly, my biggest involvement's been with the SPWLA.
I didn't notice it. Maybe I missed it. AWS, do they have a presence here at the
Not
SPWLA
this
this
year.
year?
Not this year.
Wonder why.
We're we tend to do our own shows. So we have an energy symposium in Houston
Oh, wow.
in September. We have reInvent in Vegas. I just came from the AWS summit in London. So yeah, I mean, our AWS summit in London, we drew 22,000 people.
Wow.
reInvent in Vegas will be 60, 70, 80,000. So
What in the world? It's obviously not all about petrophysics.
No, no. But it's also amazing though to see kind of the cross connection of ideas that happen in
Yeah.
those sorts of environments, especially
Oh,
when your focus is on the cloud computing and the data.
wow. Well, this is a great segue into more details about the SPWLA's 67th annual convention. Do you have kids?
I do, yeah.
Are in the stage that my kids are, where it's 6, 7, 6, 7, everything that's
Oh.
if you say 6 or 7, they're
My daughter, she's probably just on the other side of that. She's my youngest.
you're so
If she see, she'll just cringe and walk away if I do that. She's not into it as much herself, but I'll do the 6, 7 and look at her for a reaction. She'll know that a reaction is expected, and she'll just sort of shake her head.
Oh man, that's so good. I love that. I'm totally the opposite. My kids just do it, and they don't know that my reaction is like what your daughter's is, right? It's like that. What is this 6, 7? But the connection is there. It's the
Oh
67th
yeah,
annual
no, we can't.
SPWLA.
You've just helped me prepare my keynote speech. So
That's gonna be good. That one's gonna be good. I hope you drop that. Um, back to the point I was trying to make though, to the segue that you were helping me kind of draw into. You go to these 50, 60,000 people events for AWS, right? And you have
yeah,
this very specific, very detailed path of petrophysics, wireline, oil and gas, and all this. And you're going to this massive event where someone who respectfully has the same amount of discipline and career, right, and enthusiasm, but it's about something totally different, making cars or whatever they're coming from, and
yeah,
you're like, oh, I see how you're using AWS. Maybe that's the way that we can handle Segwise, or maybe that's a way you're learning from someone who has nothing to do with the industry, but there's common ground there. And I feel like that's what geologists and especially geoscience departments need to really be focusing on, is how are we all attacking this problem in front of us to make better decisions, the engineering, the geology, and all that stuff. In theory, it makes sense, we should be doing that, but it's actually very difficult to find common ground. You know,
yeah,
you're the assumptions of a geoscientist is not approved assumptions by an engineer. The engineer wants it to be factual, exactly how it was acquired. Show me the number one or the number two. Geoscientist is like, it's between one and two, is what I'm
yeah,
saying. Just run with me for a minute. And the engineer's like, nope. I'm not
yeah,
running with that. I don't accept that assumption. But if maybe there's a way that this is a similar thing, that the SPWLA is another way to explain the importance of these events, the importance of this
yeah,
society, the importance of what we do, is come and listen to a petrophysicist talk about the same problems that you're talking about, just in a different way, in a different perspective. And what can we learn from that? So we should
yeah,
have an audience of thousands of people in Houston, engineers, geologists, geophysicists, not just petrophysics. Yes, we want to advance our understanding of the wireline. We want to understand better certain specific things that maybe a geophysicist would never be interested in. But there's still common ground here that we're all talking about and something to learn from. And let's meet new people. What are your
100%.
ideas?
Yeah. No, I couldn't, I mean, really echo that. I think, you go back to your AWS analogy. I mean, yeah, I mean, that thing, you meet the people from life sciences and they're talking about medical images and what they've got up on the screen and what you've got up on the screen to anybody else is a bunch of gray blobs and lines. And, a petrophysicist will be telling you there's oil and gas and the medical guy will be telling you there's a baby there or something like that. It's, now, but I like the connection you make there as well, though, because you don't have to go that broad to be bringing in new ideas. When I look through the program that we've got, I mean, we've got people coming in there to talk about nuclear magnetic resonance in carbonates in really challenging environments, and then taking that back to the lab, trying to work out the nuances and the differences in the measurements that they're seeing between the lab and downhole. You've got people working in a cased hole environment where there's steel pipe all around them, and they're trying to get that extra level of insight in challenging conditions. And then you've got people that are, they've taken a step back from all of it, and they're looking at the economics of the whole endeavor. Then there's people in there looking at all of these data streams coming together and applying machine learning. And I think that's one of the things that it's not a huge show, but everybody is there, and everyone that is there is an absolute expert in their field, and you get the opportunity to sort of mix them in that environment, and it's incredible the sort of things that people come out with. And just by spending time with one another, just by listening to each other, exchanging ideas,
Yeah.
and being able to do it, like you say, in an environment like Margaritaville, in the resort there, the pressures of the day to day come off, and the ideas open up, and people really start
Wow.
to share and uncover stuff.
Wow. Now you got 2 days of workshops, right? You guys,
Correct? Yeah.
the VP of technology has developed the 2 days, four classes each day to pick from, and you can't do one of each. They all go for the day. So you got to deliver that information of what exactly is this and what exactly is that, and this is well before the event. So let's
Yes.
rock it back. How long has the 60 you've been working on this really since president-elect? You've been thinking about this
Oh
event
yeah.
okay, that makes
Yeah, no, I
sense.
mean, while I was at the event in Dubai last year, you're learning the whole time. So I'm walking around the halls of the hotel in Dubai, looking at what's working, looking at
What's
what's not
not?
working. And
Yep.
and Artur was there with me last year. Harry was there, and the way it works, you've always got three or four people that are yeah, just exchanging ideas. Now we've gone again, not necessarily petrophysical ideas, but ideas about how to run a good event,
Yeah.
how to give the best experience to the people that are coming there. So yeah, we had those same workshop structure. It worked really well last year. We tried to repeat it this year. Like I say, the workshop instructors, all volunteers, but absolutely, people are absolutely at the top of their field, and the sort of people that want to get out there and share ideas, and also listen to that audience that they're going to have in the room. So that's Saturday and Sunday. And yeah, like you said, I mean, it's a full intense day. I mean, those are, and I've seen those sessions as well. You coming in paying, I think it's $375 for a full day session
Right.
with the absolute top of the field in the room, and those go long. People are there. They're off to dinner afterwards. The conversations continue, and then that's the whole point of the event. Is
That's
you
right.
kick it off on those first days, and that intensity never drops.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't. You're like, yep, you're 100% right. I'm exhausted if I'm going to a 5 day technical conference because you're absolutely right. You are up sun up to sundown with
Yeah.
other geoscientists, other professionals, other experts, and you're constantly in this. You put something together, you're just thinking of something, you're just constantly just working the brain out on trying to gather as much good information as you can, make sure you're doing your job as a professional, being paid to be there in some cases for
Yes.
operators, right? Service companies the same. So yeah, I totally believe that. And then you got so Sunday night is the icebreaker, is that
That's
correct?
right. Yeah.
Okay. We get a setup. I'll have my booths. The podcast booth will be set up by then. Then it's just icebreaker. Everyone kind of saying hi. We all made it. The next 3 days are all about the technical conference.
That's right. Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, then it kicks off Monday morning. We've got a fantastic keynote speaker from Oxy,
How do you
Thamar
say that?
Amir.
How do you say the first name?
It's a good question. I'm going to say Thamar.
Neymar. Okay. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
with that.
Thamar Ramirez.
We're gonna
And
have him on the
she's
podcast. Oh, it's a
her,
girl.
yes.
Sorry, I'm gonna edit that out.
Yeah,
We are
that's okay.
definitely we are definitely gonna have. So real quick, when we switch to the technical conference, we go from the core workshop to the happy hour transition. You now are in the role of filling every one of those slots
Yeah.
in both rooms, plus the 20 poster sessions. That was all you.
Yeah, so when you asked about how long ago did this start, so off the back of last year's conference, everybody's come away from that conference fired up, buzzing, and it's like, I want to get a paper in there next year. I want to be up on stage, and I want to be presenting my paper next year.
Love that.
So very quickly afterwards, August, September time, we put the call out for abstracts, and we ask people to submit abstracts, and it's quite a structured process. And most years, anything between 300 and 500 abstracts come in from all over the world for people that want to be part of the next year's event. So
Wow.
you're thinking back to sort of September, October. We closed the call for abstracts last year. As VP Technology, I have to put together a committee. And that's kind of going to my contact list and then the previous years as well, and finding some of the best petrophysicists and society members that we can get from around the world. We're careful to make sure that's a really representative group: operators, service companies,
Nice.
IOCs, NOCs,
New, old, as
yeah,
much as you can do.
as much as we can do. Yeah, balanced by the region of the world that they come from, because that will sort of change the sort of rocks that they're talking about. So
Yeah.
you're trying to get this really representative committee together of about 70 people.
Now, the SPWLA, Society of Petroleum
Petrophysicists,
Society
petrophysicists,
and Wireline. Yeah, what am I thinking?
and well log
Petroleum.
analysts.
It's everything. You got to have wireline. If there's mining wireline, but there's definitely CCUS focused wireline. There's
Yeah,
the geothermal focused wireline. There's obviously the oil and gas. The SPWLA is saying anyone putting wireline downhole and trying to make sense of it, we want to hear from you. We want to work with you. We want to hear about the project. Wow. Okay. Very
yeah,
cool. And that
yeah.
expands AWS your energy role at AWS is beyond oil and gas. You're looking at geothermal, CCUS, all these different companies. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, one of the big changes for me to AWS was broadening out the cycle as well. So I'm no longer just focusing upstream. I'm looking, right the way through the value chain on oil and gas as well. So right the way down to refineries where you're acquiring data, and I mean even trading and the decisions that are going into oil and gas trading, things like that.
So
So
now you have a committee that's ready to
yeah,
review, and you're
yeah. So
expecting 300 to 500 papers to come in or abstracts to come in.
abstracts, yeah. So abstracts first, and so we send those out, and we try to get about 10 abstracts per person. So that means no more than that. Sorry, we try to get up to 10 reviews per abstract. So if you're thinking about, I think this year we were in the 300s of abstracts. So I want to get about 3,500 reviews done out of my committee of 70. So I'm asking everybody on the committee to review 50 abstracts, and they
Wow.
did it. And
Dang.
that was in their spare time, and that was as volunteers. So I mean, really, really impressive.
Yeah.
And they come back with their rankings, and that they come back with those rankings, and that allows me to then put a rank across all of those 300 or 400 abstracts and pick out the top 120 that are going to present on stage, and then another 30 or 40 that are going to do posters.
So there's 120 of technical talk presentations this year.
That's
120 in three
correct. Yeah,
days. Oh my goodness. I was trying to think
yeah.
about that. So you guys get almost half of the abstracts. You get about 50%.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about compromise. I mean, in some ways, somebody's gone to the effort of putting an abstract together. You'd love to be able to get everybody up there, but at the same time, you've got to make a balance between, how long can you run one of these events for? It's hard to get people away from their day job for more than 3 days. So that's one compromise. Now, how hard can you work? How short can you make a talk and still get the message across? 15 minutes plus 5 minutes of questions is about your limit. How many parallel tracks can you run? Well, usually if you've got a case told talk in one room and an NMR talk in the other room, it's unlikely that somebody's going to want to be in both places. So
Okay.
you can try. Whereas you go to 3 tracks, now you're going to get smaller audiences. It's the messages. So again, it's another compromise. You stick with 2 tracks, 20 minutes to talk, 3 days. 120 talks.
Sheesh, man. Wow. That is so much to unpack in 3 days, but it's going to happen. They're all flying in. They're all
Yeah,
prepared with a flash drive, and someone's going to be the guy on the laptop going, "Yep, bring me your flash drive." He's got 120 of these things coming,
yeah.
loading every one of them. Wow. Wow. Man, that's fascinating. What an opportunity to one, I guess, build your credibility and your responsibility and who you are amongst the community, right? You must have met so many people, the 70 committee
Oh yeah.
members, obviously, but then all the ones you picked, 120 speakers coming that you read through the abstract and you know the title, you know which place they're in. I mean, you're full of information from this SPWLA event.
Yeah, you're overflowing by the end of it. It's more than, I mean, it's more than than one person can really, contain. What's been amazing for me this year, and again, AWS has been a bit of a help here, is getting access to AI tools that actually have made a lot of the process a lot easier. And one of the things I'll make sure to do when I introduce the event is talk to some of those things and talk to some of those uh, some of the work that we're doing to try to make petrophysicists' life easier, because AI and the world that we live in right now is very good with data. What a lot of people are going to get up on stage and present, though, is their interpretation of data and their abstraction and their their value add onto that data, and that's not getting captured in all of these AI tools and things that we're doing today. And typically, if you look at where an SPWLA paper sits that was presented at a symposium 4 or 5 years ago, that's still sort of sitting in a library somewhere on somebody's hard disk.
Right, right.
To get access to that, you've got to pay a subscription. You've got to read the whole thing. We've protected that data because there's a lot of IP tied up in there.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it through ChatGPT. But now these tools are so ubiquitous and everybody's using them. One of the things we want to be doing in the next couple of years is really finding a way to open that up to the
Wow.
members, and introduce technology where they will be able to look at all of the historical papers, all of the papers that were put on stage this year. And what we'll see, what I expect to see out of that is it'll generate more ideas, and it'll
Right.
generate more sharing of knowledge, and it just start to accelerate the process that we're in.
Yeah. Wherever you sit in your personal opinion about AI and machine learning and this whole thing, I truly believe at the very least, everyone can have an agreement that it has enhanced the individual's engagement to the subject. Whether you think it's doing it right or not, it's getting you to think about it in a different way. It's showing it a different way. It's visual. Like if you really let it go and kind of watch it do what it's doing, that I mean, now all of a sudden I'm not worried about any Netflix documentary. I am looking and listening to this perspective, this artificial perspective of data and
Yeah,
information. And I think that is a new way to get younger generations engaged, but also a new way for the older generation to help understand what's really going on there and what's real, what's maybe not, what kind of things are wrong with this that AI is doing. I mean, it's integration.
yeah.
It's attention and integration. Let's use the heck out of that.
Yeah, I mean, when you do, it got me going, because when you start talking about 120 papers that are going to be presented over 3 days, no individual can sit in a room and absorb that amount of data. I mean, you need bathroom breaks. There's two tracks going in parallel. There's just a physical limit to what you can do. But if you can collect all of that information, put it into an LLM and start asking it the questions that come to you, or start getting the summaries out of it. And we're not. It's got to be done in a way that keeps the credit there for those original authors. I mean, the effort that's gone in by those people that get up on stage and deliver that material, who've written those papers. I think SPWLA will definitely always stick to focusing on making sure those people get the recognition they deserve. and that their name is attached to those ideas. It's just a case of how can we keep that yet get it to a wider audience and operationalize their knowledge in a way that more people can benefit from it.
Right. Make it accessible, right? Making
Yeah.
it accessible, digestible, besides the 3 day like rage of
Yeah.
information, and
And connect it as well. Yeah, you said it earlier as well. Those life scientists alongside the petrophysicists at an AWS conference. You know, there is going to be emergent things that come out of an analysis where you've got cased hole measurements alongside open hole measurements, alongside core measurements, alongside those sorts of things. And sometimes the models will pick up on those subtleties that humans don't necessarily see.
I really appreciate your time and you just being transparent, with who you are, what you've learned, and what you're doing now, and the vision you have for AWS and how it's integrated. And I just really enjoyed spending time with you on this lighter part of this, getting ready for SPWLA.
No, likewise, Troy. It's really interesting to speak to you, and I love the questions. You challenged me on a few areas there, made me think, and but it's also great to just reflect on how much work has gone in by so many people into making the event in Conroe happen, and just how grateful I am for the team that I get to work with.